Hello, I'm Stacey Zagers, and this is Yulia Rodionova. Hopefully I pronounced it right. So we just want to have a little discussion about what to expect when you purchase a house, what kind of fees you're looking at.
When you are buying a house, you are looking at the price, right? First of all, then you're thinking about your down payment, let's say 20%, and then the rest will be your mortgage. But this is not it. You also have closing costs.
Yes.
So what are the closing costs? It's the legal fees, it's the fees that are payable by your lawyer to the land registry office for checking the property. It is the fees that are paid to the Ministry of Finance for the registration of the transfer of property and the mortgage. It's the land transfer tax that is payable to the Ministry of Finance, and first-time home buyers who have not owned property anywhere in the world themselves or through an interest, for example, spousal interest, they get a discount of up to $4,000. However, you have still to pay the difference, so if your land transfer tax on your property is, let's say, $7,000, you still have to pay $3,000.
Yeah.
So budget for it. Another thing is that we adjust, we pay title insurance. Title insurance is insurance of legal ownership against any debts of previous owners, violations that can be subject to a fine by municipality that were done by previous owners, and also protection against identity fraud. And in most cases, it is required by the bank. However, even if you are not getting a mortgage, I still highly recommend, because I have already seen a lot of instances where title insurance was amazingly helpful, and it's not such a big price comparing to the overall investment. However, it varies depending on the house price and the amount of mortgage. Therefore, it can be $150 if it's a condo, and it can be, $700 if it's a more expensive house, or even, more. Therefore, think about that. Also, think about adjustments at closing. So let's say we are giving to the seller the purchase price minus the deposit that you have provided to the seller at the time of making an offer. Then we should give them the difference, right? Purchase price minus deposit, the difference is going to the seller. However, on top of it, there are adjustments for usually property taxes. So property taxes, that's the annual taxes that are paid by homeowners. So if your seller has paid for the entire year, then you might be returning money to your seller. Can be like $300, can be $1,000, depending on how much forward your seller prepaid. If your seller hasn't paid enough, then the seller might be giving you a credit. So you have to give less to the seller than you originally accounted for. And that we will know only at the time of closing, closer to the closing date.
Yes.
So also there are adjustments for condo fees. So if you have, let's say, $300 condo fees and you are closing on, let's say, December 2nd, then your seller would have prepaid for the entire month of condo fees. Therefore, you have to give your seller almost $300 back.
Yeah.
So those are pretty standard. Depending on your lender, there can be additional fees that can minimize the amount of mortgage that you are actually getting. It can be different from what you're expecting. So in this example where we have price, 20% down payment, you're thinking the difference is the mortgage. However, the mortgage might be subject to fees that the bank is withholding before they give you the money. For example, there can be administrative fees, usually around $350. There can be appraisal fees, can be easily anywhere from $200 to $400. There can be lender fees, depending on the bank or lender that you are working with. They can be very, very different. Last transaction that we were just discussing with Stacey, the lender fees were $4,000.
Yeah,
Therefore, that meant that my clients had to come up with this $4,000 to cover the difference. So Be careful in this, in terms of like calculating how much exactly you need to bring. Always have some extra money available, and also keep in mind, if your transaction doesn't close on the same day, sometimes things happen, money gets delayed, and then we have to ask the seller for extension. We always have to have a good reason why we need an extension, and if we show them the proof, look, we have done all our job, the bank said that we are good, and they send us the money, but the money is coming late, there's delays, like banks are overwhelmed, so it will come tomorrow morning, definitely. And we are asking for this extension, then the seller is not obligated to agree. The seller can say, I don't want to extend, too bad. Timing is of the essence. You should have been ready today. So, however, in most cases, the sellers, they will work with you, because taking you to court or you taking them to court costs even more money, right? So they will be like, okay, well, we understand money is getting delayed. However, it costs us extra because we have to pay for our mortgage. We have to pay our extra taxes, extra insurance, and extra legal fees. And we also are inconvenienced because, let's say, the seller is also buying a property, so that can be a chain of transactions. So they need funds. So and then they can't close. So their seller also has the same problems, so it can be all passed to you. So just have this extra money ready, in case something goes off. I've seen, the most I've seen was $1,500, but it's important to have access to these funds. So most transactions, they go smoothly, but things happen, so just be ready.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a good rule of thumb is about 1.5% of the purchase price for closing costs. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're getting up to $4,000 waived or not, if you're buying a $500,000 house, just having $7,500 of your just-in-case fund is smart.
Yeah.
So perfect. Thank
you,
Yulia.